Let's break all of this down with CNN Global Affairs analyst Kim Dozier. Kim, thank you for being here. How are you doing?
Doing fine, but having a hard time keeping up with all the different headlines. It seems like every hour with the new Trump administration.
This is it. I mean, we're going through unprecedented times every single hour, it seems. Goodness. But American and Russian officials are set for talks on Tuesday. What do you think the Russians will bring to the table? And what is Vladimir Putin actually going to ask for? And what can the US even deliver? Lots of questions there.
Well, they've already made public statements that they expect to talk about things like reopening some of their diplomatic missions in the United States and possibly even discuss the lifting of some sanctions. Of course, this is what Russian officials are messaging to their own people about why they are meeting with the great enemy that, as they've described them in the media for the entire Biden administration. But from the Trump side, this is a chance for Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, Witkoff, who had some meetings in Moscow with Putin. He is the Mideast advisor, but he's now also been put in charge of this Ukraine mission, and Rubio, the Secretary of State, to road test some of the things that Trump thinks he heard from Putin. Waltz and Rubio will not go easy on the Russian negotiators. So it is a chance for them to see, okay, how serious is the Russian side before they bring Ukrainians into the talks? I can see them making that argument, but of course, from what we've heard out of Kyiv and from President Zelensky's comments in Munich, he is feeling a little bit worried about the warm comments that President Trump made about Putin and worried about being cut out of this first round of talks in Saudi Arabia.
Could you just explain to me, what leverage do the Saudis have in all of this?
Well, one of the key reasons to have it in Saudi Arabia is some of the people from the Russian side coming to these meetings have arrest warrants out from the International Criminal Court. That's why it has likely been proposed as a possible meeting place for Trump and Putin somewhere down the line. But Saudi Arabia also has a number of key ties. Obviously, it's the leading member of OPEC. Russia is also a member of OPEC, and the price of oil is part of this deal. Trump has threatened to flood the market with oil to lower the prices, to cripple Russia if Russia doesn't negotiate in good faith. And Saudi Arabia also has ties to China, and China helps Saudi Arabia and Iran make peace. So Saudi Arabia has positioned itself to be a sort of diplomatic nexus in a number of different ways. And as we remember from the last Trump administration, the Trump family and the Prince MBS, they get along just fine. So there's already trust there. And I think they're hoping to build on that. That's why it's become this sort of safe space for talks.
And of course, while all of this is happening, over the past, couple of hours, we've been seeing news out of the UK, and the UK Prime Minister saying he's ready to put troops on the ground in Ukraine, which of course is a massive turn after the US pretty much shut out Europe in these negotiations with Russia. What do you make of all of that?
You know, I know that Trump officials are going to be patting themselves on the back over that, because Britain, France, the Baltics, they've all been talking for months. All last year, they were talking about the possibility of committing their own troops on the ground in Ukraine, but no one would be the first to say it. And now that the Trump administration has given them a hard time at the Munich Security Forum, told them you're going to have to start being more in charge of your own security. And by the way, we're not going to include you in this first round of Ukrainian talks. Lo and behold, the British Prime Minister stepped up and said, but we're willing to put our troops on the ground to guarantee this peace. Therefore, he's obviously arguing we need a seat at the table. And from the Trump administration side, you know, they didn't have to push anyone. The Brits jumped.
Well, we will see what happens next. Oh, my goodness, it is all happening. Kim Dozier, thank you so much for joining me. Speak to you soon.
Thanks.